the record just because I forget sometimes if I don't hit the record at some time, because like I did one of these a few weeks ago where I got about 5 minutes in and then realized I didn't hit the record because I had two people in that one and they came in at exactly the same time. So I just forgot to hit the record,
Give me just a second. Check. Oh, I checked it and hello, testy test.
Testes.
Sounded okay through the testy test.
Mm.
Hmm.
So what are you doing now? Hammering shit?
Oh no, I'm doing paperwork. I'm doing all
Oh,
the things that all my friends don't want to do, and the only things that I want to do. I don't want to hammer anything. I've
okay.
accepted this. I like doing
Mm.
paperwork. The problem is I'm interpreting a lot of receipts and things like that by my friends who are not detail oriented and presenting them to people who are detail oriented like I am, but they're not the
Mm.
people I know or work for. So, like imagine you were sort of hanging out with a bunch of crazy people and you had to like filter their output down to people who were more like who sort of thought more like you did, but those people aren't on your team.
No, I'm not sure if that makes any
Sort of
sense.
like that. It kind of doesn't. I don't know. Like the thing of the like you're hanging out with a motorcycle gang and you have to like do their taxes.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like the I
It's not really accurate. It's
no
not
pa-
really anywhere near that crazy.
no paperwork just sounds horrible to me. So I guess that's
Uh,
the thing. You say paperwork and I glaze over.
I like
Mm.
putting numbers into where they go.
Mm. Da, da, da,
I mean, I
da.
also like coding, but I haven't really learned that well enough to charge money for it.
Radio. Let's see what else. What else is newish? Newish. Queen.
I don't know. I've watched a lot of The Good Place, which is really a very Twilight Zone-y ass show.
Well, Luke said when we had our conversation about a nice place to visit, he was like, "You guys were talking about the good place,"
Yeah.
without knowing it.
Yeah. I had this conversation when I like talked to people, talked to my one friend who definitely listens to all of our Twilight Zone podcasts. And she was like, "Oh, I was like listening to it and you guys are talking about The Good Place." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I found that out."
Did you watch the Obi-Wan show?
Yeah, that's fine.
It had lightsabers and mist at the end because I had to do
Yeah.
that and read the Kenobi book.
But there was a
So,
bunch of stuff where it was like someone was out to kill someone who I knew wasn't going to die.
yeah, I made sure to go out of my way to watch the whole thing because we did Star Wars yesterday with a writer.
Oh yeah.
But when we got to it, I brought it up a few times, and Luke was like, "Yeah, it doesn't seem like he wanted to talk about much because like 2 weeks ago maybe he did, but in the past week I guess he's talked about it so much that now he's like, oh fuck that," which is fine because we want to talk about the original Star Wars. It's not like an issue. I just did a few lines of question because I thought he wanted to be asked about it.
I listened to your RoboCop episode. That was a good job. I meant to
Oh.
message both of you and be like, "Good job on the RoboCop episode." You definitely
Robo
like
Rock.
managed. Yeah, you definitely managed to illustrate. Maybe your guest brought it up a little bit more, but the things I don't really like about Marvel movies, which is that everything, which I hadn't thought about, which is how everything leads to something else, and there isn't just random stuff in the background.
Yeah, basically. That's just funny how many times like we literally have been trying to make that one happen for like 18 months because the guy like lives with this lady or something. It's like in a one room, so
Yeah.
it's
What did you
constant.
do with him before? You've had him on before, right?
Nope, we've just been trying to get him
No.
on for a while. Yeah.
God, am I that insensitive that I just thought another British guy sounded like another British guy that you had on? I guess
he
so.
he came across kind of like Stuart Gipp, who we did Evil Dead with.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe
That
that's
might,
it.
I think you're thinking of the Evil Dead guy because they do have kind of a similar flow. So,
Mm.
or
I
no,
still feel like kind of a dick now.
yeah, because they're no, and yesterday I was in the Twitter feed and I like I mixed up their icons in my head too. So I mean I wasn't sending
Mm.
message or anything. I was actually just checking to see if the guy had any links, which I should listen to the end of the show where he says he didn't. So
I think the end of this show, Luke said something like he doesn't ever finish projects, so I can
right.
definitely relate to that.
Yeah. So that was yeah, if you're like, oh, I really like his, I hope I'm looking forward to getting to this entire series. Yeah, don't hold your breath, you know.
Uh,
But it's
I
almost, it's like you follow somebody's whims, right?
well, yeah, that's a lot of stuff. I definitely know a lot of people who start things and don't finish them. As long as you're not, I just feel like as long as you're not super annoying about it, it's fine. Like
Mm-mm-mm.
there are people who will talk about something endlessly and not finish it, and I'm like, you know, just drop it.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, I don't know. I've been watching the new season of The Boys, which is probably better than the Obi-Wan show was, but
Well, the other nice amount of Obi-Wan, it was 6 episodes, so it's not like a giant commitment, and they weren't like
yeah,
particularly long episodes. So
it wasn't bad. It was just like it just continue. I just continue along this line of thinking where just prequel. The problem is that all prequels are bad.
mm,
Like unless there's something like what was it like Knights of the Old Republic where it's like 4,000 years before the original
right.
trilogy, so there's absolutely no recurring characters. Like just I don't yeah, I just don't you don't need backstory for anything. It's like
Mm,
I think that maybe it's this thing where you remember when Lost came out and it was sort of this thing where the way Lost told its story was that you were doing stuff and then you were sort of fed backstory on a character that you thought wasn't super interesting, but then they became more interesting. And it's like
right.
that philosophy has just been adopted by movies, but you can't like go back 30 years later and be like, actually, Han Solo did this. It's not, it's like no one who worked in the original movies is there. So it's like you're not getting the same type of dopamine if as if it was just in the original Star Wars.
Hold on one moment.
Mm,
Yeah, I like my eyes glazed over a touch, right? Um,
mm-hmm.
Yesterday, because when he went on a kind of a 30-second rant about the Knights of the Old Republic, which he can because he wrote 50
Ah,
issues of that comic book. His point was I
oh,
actually his point was actually he had given that Jedi a yellow lightsaber because he had a shitty toy from 1977 that where
huh,
Luke seemed to have a yellow lightsaber.
huh. I just figure that there should just be every color of lightsaber because why not? I'm sure there are a lot of people that would absolutely disagree with that, like because you have to have the right kind of kyber crystals or whatever. But it's like it's
No, and his
stupid.
yeah, I just liked his expression. It's just because that's a toy I had when I was a kid, you know.
It's stupid that there shouldn't be a lightsaber that's like two colors. Like there should be one that's like purple with a yellow outline or something,
Hold on,
or rainbow.
give me 5 more minutes. I got contact, but it seemed
Sure.
he was a little drawn between yesterday and tomorrow. So yeah,
Mm,
we can shoot shit for 5 more minutes. I have an hour and 15 before I actually need to leave the house. So I think we
cool.
can do. Think we
Yeah,
can
I'm
handle a Twilight Zone that time.
not up against the wall. Yeah, this not a whole lot of meat on this one.
There's stuff to talk about though, but
There is, of
no,
course.
I don't see this as like Willoughby just came out, and that's like over an hour because there's things we didn't talk about. I got
Yeah.
notes from John later, like, gee, I completely forgot to bring up this angle.
Yeah, well, it's like you could argue that nothing bad happens to this guy. So it's like automatically you don't have a lot to talk about. There's not like a profound, I don't know. The profound thing is that Rod Serling let someone live.
Well, I think we can get like kind of into like the birth of geek culture or whatever. So
I just want to talk about how that guy is Crispin Glover.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Here's a line. This is what I got later on. So I guess I might as read it, since a few people on Patreon might hear it. The comment
Mm,
is there's about Willoughby. There's a whole line of thought I had about this episode that I didn't get into the podcast. It's this admittedly twisted version of things where we're seeing Garth's mind create the justification and ease of making its deadly decision. It's like it's creating this idyllic fantasy to do it at once. And by it, I mean that part of his brain has taken over the decision-making side that would otherwise prevent it. The story then becomes this kind of peek into how someone on this path is unavoidably justifying it to themselves. So that at least has been put in the, logged into the Patreon here. Yeah. Okay, I'm back on the norms screen now.
Norms.
Yeah.
Norms.
Have you been disseminating the use of fuge as a goodbye?
I like it.
Okay, so you gotta yell at people just fuge.
Fuge.
Luke started pushing that, so I'm trying to take that ball and roll with it.
Into it.
Yeah, you can hear on a few of his casts where he says it, and everyone gets pissed that he just said it. So
I think I just heard one of the game show ones where somebody else said it, but maybe it was just.
Oh, maybe it's spread. Maybe it sounds stupid the first 3 times you hear it, and then it's okay. I don't know.
Maybe they were making fun of him. Who knows? Or maybe it was him saying it, and I just didn't realize it. Those are probably the only options.
The only 2 options in life.
Yep, it's you either are Mr. Bevis or you're a Mr. Bevis.
Well, you're a butthead, right?
Was he a butthead? Do you think that he was a butthead and he became a Bevis? You think that's what this is about? Maybe am I wasting material?
Could be the other. You can say it again if you feel like it.
I was gonna try and avoid the shit out of Beavis and Butthead references.
Oh, come on. You can't make it out without at least one,
Yeah.
It's like, what is it, Doritos? They don't use that slogan at all.
Cornholio.
He
became a cornholio. It's the story of a cornholio.
Whoa, now I'm getting tons of noise. Okay, maybe you're shifting around. Maybe you have to stay really still. Yeah.
What about now?
Yeah. See, I think
yes, there's noise, or yes, there isn't noise. I'm doing it. Testing mic. Sounds normal. Sounds normal.
Okay.
Oh God.
He's stuck in a time loop, so I guess we're just gonna have to roll it. I had someone coming in, but they're kind of like fucked at the moment, it seems.
Time loop?
Yeah. They're stuck in a time loop.
Maybe he'll do it the next time.
Right. So we're gonna beeve it out.
Okay.
Show me your Bevis. I mean, we're here. Right? Might as well do it, right?
All right. Yeah. Good thing I showed up.
Yeah. Well,
Good thing you made this a three-person thing, or you wouldn't be doing it at all.
Well, I'd be doing it later, but I'm just like, we're here. It seems like we might as well do that, right?
I am ready.
Could be the lost episode if it needs to be, but yeah.
You should just record another one with him and then play them both at the same time.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Great podcasting.
I'll call it stereoscopic podcasting.
Put some binaural beats over it too.
Yeah, hell, I could do that. I was thinking, does it make sense to put that out in podcast form? Binaural beats, I mean,
maybe.
I mean, some people might want to rock around their headphones, just like 25. Honestly, I'll do it because it takes like 0 work, but I feel like that doesn't exist, and maybe it's something that should exist. Probably does exist. I don't know.
Well, see, the question is like, if it does exist, if it doesn't exist, does that mean that you should make it, or does that mean you shouldn't make it?
I don't know. You should.
See?
No, you shouldn't. Okay.
Does it not exist because you shouldn't do it, or does it not exist because you should do it?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the best answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess stay shut up for 5 seconds, and then I'm gonna do it. Hello, welcome to Time Enough Podcast, where we dive deep into episodes of The Twilight Zone and beyond. This is Matt here. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
That's right.
You
If
didn't
that's
say hi, Mark, so
yeah,
I
that's why
actually did it
that's where my
wrong.
I was thinking maybe you were like Mark is your family name and Hi is your, given name.
Then that would be Mark High, right?
In
In
Japan.
Japan, yeah, where
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah, but you're where you are in America, so it'd be Hi Mark.
It's like Chu High, but it's Mark High.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's in Japan, so it depends where you are, but you're not in Japan at the moment. If you did, currently you'd have to come on like a North Korean style guided tour.
But wait, since you are recording this Zoom call from Japan, does that mean that I technically do exist in Japan
Well, I'm saying you don't
legally?
because no, legally you'd have to be on a North Korean style guided tour as of June or July 2022. They started letting
Wow.
foreigners in, but they're in these like weird, like it's just like the North Korean tours. It's really bizarre.
If I steal a sign, will they like abduct me and then kill me and then send me back and be like, "Oh, he died somehow"?
Yeah, probably. I don't
Not
know.
interested.
Today our episode is Mr. Bevis and Butthead. Sorry. Okay, there I got it out already.
I'm not. Yeah, everybody has a. It's like Schwarzenegger. Everyone has a Beavis and Butthead impression, and I am going to try really hard not to do them.
I don't think I have those impressions. I feel yeah, those are ones I never felt
You,
the need to really do impressions of.
well, it's good because everyone has them, so it's like the less people that do them, the better, probably.
I have plenty of horrible impressions, but that's not one of them.
Mm.
Let me roll out the trivia on this one. Rod Serling penned this one, and I was even a touch surprised because this script has a smell of a Matheson or a Beaumont, but that Serling was a jack of all trades, I suppose. William Asher directed while this episode hit its marks. The man was best known for directing the majority of I Love Lucy and Bewitched. Some have even given him the hyperbole of having invented the sitcom, though the latter job may have had something to do with the fact that he was married to Bewitched star Elizabeth Montgomery.
Well, lucky guy.
Our titular Mr. Bevis is played by Orson Bean. While he rates fine as an actor, he considered himself famous for being famous, as he was what Japan calls TV talent, having regular spots on the panel of To Tell the Truth and Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. He had a few dry years as well, having been blacklisted McCarthy style for a spell. J. Hardy Hempstead was played by Henry Jones. He was a well-worked character actor. I don't think that's what I meant to write. Showing up in around 180 movies and TV shows, but really excelled as a Broadway actor, scoring a Tony for Sunrise at Campobello. I mean, I don't know what that is, but it's a fact. You got a Tony. I mean, you put that on your shelf, right?
Yep, next to your below all your other awards.
What, next to your blow?
Yeah.
That's more like the Oscar, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the Oscar is what you hide it inside.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah,
Oscars
exactly.
hollow?
I don't know. I thought they were solid gold. Can you murder someone with the Oscar?
I don't know. Can you? Has it happened? That's happened. That has to have happened.
Oscar winners in our audience, please, please tell us.
Has anyone won an EGOT and then murdered someone with all four of them? Should I make that movie?
Would you hold two in each hand? Oh, yes, of course you should make that movie. What if they got their EGOT and then they were in like some kind of like arm maiming incident, so they've replaced their hands with the awards and they murder people with them.
Did you see Malignant?
No.
There is like
a
little bit of there is some award murder in that movie.
Okay, that's cool.
That might be where I got that from.
Well, that's the name of your movie, Award Murder. Award murder? No, it should be. Is a verb?
Award-winning murder?
Is it a verb? No, it's award murder because we don't know if it's a verb or a noun.
I'm just trying to think of how you could use EGOT in some kind of killing pun, and I just really.
He got you.
He got you. He got you.
There, this thing writes itself. Speaking of things that write themselves, when you stop laughing like a Beavis, can you read the prologue?
All right. Mm-hmm. In The parlance of the 20th century, this is an oddball. His name is James B.W. Bevis, and his tastes lean towards stuffed animals, zither music, professional football, Charles Dickens, moose heads, carnivals, dogs, children, and young ladies. Mr. Bevis is accident prone, a little vague, a little discombobulated, with a life that possesses all the security of a floating craps game. But this can be said of our Mr. Bevis. Without him, without his warmth, without his kindness, the world would be a considerably poorer place, albeit perhaps a little saner. Should it not be obvious by now, James B.W. Bevis is a fixture in his own private, optimistic, hopeful little world. A world which has long ceased being surprised by him. James B.W. Bevis, on whom Dame Fortune will shortly turn her back, but not before she gives him a paste in the mouth. Mr. James B.W. Bevis, just one block away from the Twilight Zone.
Okay, read like a man who's just had his head pounded in by an EGOT.
Yeah, you're never gonna get a straight read of these from me ever again, by the way.
Yeah, I think that happens with the regulars. Well, except Andrew, who wants to dry his teeth and do a rod, but that's fine.
No, he's great. That's his thing.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah. A lot of people have great rods. I'm just gonna, take my my mediocre rod and tuck it away and do just an unhinged multiple personality reading every time.
Tell your brother he has a beautiful rod.
Yes, he does. It's a sterling rod.
Yeah, that was a Freaks and Geeks reference. If anyone is like thinking was a Freaks and Geeks reference,
I'm gonna nod politely and pretend I watched it. I know I'm supposed to watch. I know it's good.
No, it's the one episode. It's the one episode. Like I've seen like half of them. It's the one episode I've seen multiple times because it's the one where they start a band and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, that's something I need to watch. Anyway, speaking of things I need to watch or things that I have watched,
I hope you watch Mr. Bevis.
I did watch Mr. Bevis.
Oh, good.
Like part of the fun irony of reading the intro like that is that this is not an evil Twilight. This is possibly the least evil Twilight Zone that I can remember.
Because we did one for the Angels, and even that one was like threatening little girl death. So
yeah, and it had death in it. This has no death in it. It has really the guy kind of gets to write his own fate, and he still has the guardian angel who doesn't even like him still has his back at the end.
I don't know why. Okay, maybe you can explain this to me. I came in the whole time thinking, oh, this is the episode with Dick Van Dyke, and I watched it, and I thought I was watching Dick Van Dyke the whole time. And I should say I haven't seen much of his show and none of it for 20 years, so I don't have like the best mental picture, but it has that energy, I think.
No, it's like I haven't really drilled into my head what Dick Van Dyke looked like. I think, and Mary Poppins especially, but I think Mary Poppins was like a couple of years after this, right?
Somewhere in the vicinity. Yes, that sounds about right. Anyway, maybe I just colored myself an idiot, but this is a good episode to do that with, right?
Mr. Idiot. Now, this is one of the interesting things to this, to me about this is that there are a few episodes where someone shows up as a supernatural force like Mr. Death or Mr. Fate, Mr. Death being from One for the Angels. And in this episode, the human is Mr. something, and then the angel has a regular guy name.
Oh yeah. That's true. Okay.
Interesting. I mean, we do know what Mr. Bevis is. Wait, his first name is what? BW? I guess that's still a little bit abbreviated.
Well, but some people go by initials. Yo, what's up, BW? James. It's James BW Bevis.
And the guardian angel's name is J. Harvey Hempstead. It's an interesting thing where it's sort of the formula is still there, but a few things are just switched around just a little bit.
Well, that's probably a good idea.
TV, it's TV, man. It's TV.
Yeah. Well, you're pumping. I mean, this first season is 36 episodes, like put out in like a 6 to 9 month
Probably.
period. That's a lot
Yeah.
of work. I mean, Rod Serling did drive himself into the ground making this show,
Yep.
which is why he's had a little bit of a lighter hand on Night Gallery later on, and actually the last couple seasons of this as well. So
Well, weren't a lot of Night Gallery episodes just about like night terrors, things like that?
um
I mean, like, or whatever, just scare monsters, just killing people. That seems like something that if you've like worked yourself to death, that you'd make a show that was more about just monsters.
well, the one I usually push, and by the time we get to this episode, people are like, you already talked about like 8 times, but there's the one where the guy, the athlete loses the use of his legs,
Mm-hmm.
and he teaches himself to astral travel, and then he's going to go and astrally murder his wife's lover, but
Mm-hmm.
he ends up murdering himself by accident because it's dark.
Classic work anxiety dream.
Yeah, really.
I think I had that dream last week.
Oh, right. Very cool. Were you astrally traveling?
Yeah, and I murdered myself. It was really embarrassing. No, actually, the last work anxiety dream I had, I was just processing things
Okay. Do you?
forever,
I,
all
I
night.
had a dream a few nights ago where I was helping a drunken Tim Burton across the town square, and then he hurled on me, and I was like, this is kind of gross, and I didn't really want to have to deal with it. But and then that's where I woke up, and I was like, oh, good, I don't have to deal with it. So I mean,
Yeah, you gotta love that.
it's like you could interpret it like, oh, that's a commentary on the last 10 to 15 years of Tim Burton's movies, but I really don't think my dreams would be telling me that.
The last one I saw was Dark Shadows, and it still was better than a lot of other things.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I just don't even have like strong opinions about the last 10 to 15 years of Tim Burton's career. I just know the general consensus is that my dream would have interpreted it properly.
Yeah.
How do you feel about zither music?
I had to look up what it was. Pretty cool.
You've seen The Third Man, right?
Yes.
Okay, that kind of like popularized the zither in America. Well, somewhat popularized it, but I think people in the
Didn't
50s, there were people running out and buying zithers, so it's off the wall, but not completely off the wall.
I remember seeing The Third Man as in some reissue in like the 90s, and it was some kind of thing like this movie was lost to time. And even then, it was like a thing where maybe it popularized it somewhat.
No, yeah. So, like you said, there are a lot of formula beats to the story here, but and it's a lighter. There's no death, right? So it does take kind of an early look at, say, geek culture, sort of how other episodes like had like proto feminism, or Stop at Willoughby's is kind of the death and despair behind the 50s, like American Dream dude or whatever, right? Whereas this one is just like, hey, here's a geek who needs a convention, and it's 1960 and we don't really have these conventions yet.
Well, you could also just look at it like the rise of the counterculture, just sort of like if you take a hippie and cross him with a guy who's wearing a suit, you sort of do get Mr. Bevis. I mean, he sort of is just. I think some people would have seen this when it originally aired and been like, oh no, that's horrible. He didn't take the job. Oh, God. Ah.
I'm hoping no one ever had that sort of response, but maybe someone did.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
It's
just
a
straighten
lot
out,
of
chill out, Okay.
peckin' paws out there.
Yeah, okay. I guess now that you mentioned, there were people being like, what's wrong with this guy? But well, maybe that's the divide on this episode. Some people watch and say, what's wrong with this guy? And some people are like, hey man, he's a hipster, like in the more positive sense of the word. Sorry, I think that's a word that's kind of fallen into the crap pool.
I think it is more neutral now than it has been. It was kind of annoying for a while at how much people would toss it around as
Yeah, that's when the finger mustache tattoo thing was like a scourge upon the earth, I think. Some people still have those tattoos and it's on their hand.
Yeah, it probably sucks to get a finger tattoo removed.
Yeah. I guess you could still play that trick
But,
at a bar though. It would be like
but
kind of like ironic.
it's like you should take the mustache and then put it on someone else, someone you
Let's
don't know.
let's actually break down this guy's interests a little more and see how they appeal to former, well, I don't know, maybe you will still call yourself a punk rocker if you want, but
No, I'm more of a hipster than a punk rocker, honestly.
That's what I thought. So okay,
Not a
two
mustache guy though.
two middle-aged hipsters. How do we respond to Mr. Beavis's interests? His tastes lean towards stuffed animals. How do you feel about stuffed animals?
In that context, which I took it to mean taxidermy. Big taxidermy enthusiast.
Okay. No, I'll go straight for stuffed animals because I
Oh,
had a
that
ton
too.
when I was a kid. I had like a netting above my bed filled with stuffed animals. And then, oh yeah, my wife got annoyed with me when my daughter was like a baby because I would keep buying stuffed animals because I wanted to buy the stuffed animals probably. So yeah.
Well, my friend Becky, who does taxidermy, is probably listening,
Okay.
and
So
you
you have
should
to say
definitely.
taxidermy.
I'm just giving her a shout out.
Okay, there we go.
Cryptic taxidermy. Check it out. It's awesome stuff. Fans of
Okay.
our various podcasts would
And,
probably enjoy it.
okay, well, either way we're stuffing the animals. I guess they rate. So that's a point for Beavis. Zither music.
Okay.
I don't listen to a ton of Zither music, but I'll give him a point for that. If I mean you can get obsessed with Zither music. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I don't know about obsessed, but I wouldn't be like stop playing this zither music in the office. I wouldn't be mad about it. Be a nice change of
Yeah.
pace.
I listen to a lot of sitar music, so I get the same idea, right?
Christmas carols. That's might be a bridge too far.
Does it say Christmas carols? Oh,
Yeah, he has people he brings children into the office to sing Christmas carols.
Oh, you're looking at the actual. Yeah, sorry.
I'm looking at my notes.
I'm looking at the prologue. I'm looking at the
Oh,
prologue
okay.
here. So I'm running down that list. But sure, Christmas carols. I'm weird in that I really hate Christmas music, but at Christmas time I spend the entire week like going around the office playing a ukulele and singing Christmas songs. But that's just because I want to play the ukulele and play Christmas songs, even though I don't like the Christmas songs. So
okay, just want to make sure that you do understand that we are hipsters now. There's no coming back for that.
Okay, next one. We're trying to figure out if Mr. Beavis
bow ties.
Oh yeah, it took me forever to figure out how to put this on too. The clip doesn't make sense. So I really put in the extra work for this podcast, for this audio podcast today.
When I was a child, I wore bow ties, but as an adult, I just tied one necktie once using an app and just put it back on every time I need a necktie, which is about once every 3 years.
The next one needs a little consideration. It says professional football, which my first reaction is a great big no, right? But this is 1960. They maybe just had the first Super Bowl, or no, they hadn't even had it yet, probably. So it was.
Well, I think we just had Super Bowl 50 or something, which would mean, that would mean pre-Super Bowl.
It's more like me being like the only sport I watch these days is sumo, which also sounds hipster, but I do live in Japan and it comes on before the 6 o'clock news. So sometimes you just see sumo.
I mean, I like wrestling when it's good.
Okay. Sumo matches are usually about 2 seconds. It's like 5 minutes of build up and then 2 seconds of wrestling. And if it does take a long time, like 30 seconds or a minute, it usually just looks like they're hugging it out for a while.
Do they ever kiss?
They should.
They should.
They do grope each other.
So, question. Okay, let's fast forward 10 years. Once football has started doing Super Bowls, do you think Mr. Bevis is over it at that point? Do you think he's tired of it?
Yeah, maybe it's like they sold out, It's not like the good old days. Like the one time I really enjoyed baseball was going to a minor league game in Maine. Like nobody knows who the team is, but people, the local fans are obsessed. In between every inning, they'd have some like bizarre performance, like dancing animals would come out, or the local elementary school would sing a song. I'm like, this is great, that's how a baseball game should be,
Right. So, I think baseball is sort of a way to drink surrounded by people who aren't paying attention to you.
And this was like that idea, like just take all the money out of it, right? And like times 50. So yeah, minor league baseball is the thing, man.
Did you say whether this is Japanese or American minor league baseball?
American. It was in Maine when I.
Okay, I think you did say that. I was wanted to make sure.
Although I'm not neither of a sports fan, so I don't know why we've been talking about sports for the past 5 minutes. But
sports.
Next one list. Here's one that is definitely not a tick for me. Charles Dickens. Don't like Dickens myself. Too many
I feel
words.
like I do like Charles Dickens, but it's been like 5 lifetimes since I've read anything by him.
Well, no, I was in the ninth grade. I read all the books assigned except Great
Hmm.
Expectations. It wasn't what I was expecting. I
So it wasn't great.
I read the first 2 or 3 chapters, got bored of my mind, and just guessed on the test. I got a
Uh,
67, but all of my other tests were like 95, so no problem. So I
mm,
have no regrets not reading Great Expectations. Or
mm.
and I never got back to Dickens because I decided that probably meant I didn't like him.
I don't want to accuse Rod Serling of just putting a bunch of weird stuff in a grab bag for this guy's personality, but that may be what happened here.
It could be. That's one of the reasons I feel like we have to like obsess over this list. Okay, the next one
Well,
I think the next one still counts as a hit. Carnivals. Everybody loves a carnival.
yeah, I that's a weird thing to take issue with.
Yeah.
It was
And
like
then the
think about this guy compared with what was the guy from Time Enough at Last? What's his name? Mr.
Be Miss.
Bemis. Mr. Bemis. Bemis. Um he just read books. That was his whole personality.
Yeah.
This
So the
guy,
guy did
Mr.
little
Bevis, is like
mm.
an evolution of Mr. Bemis, where he likes, I don't know, 8 things, and his boss is even more mad at him. His boss is just firing him. In fact, he can't keep a job for more than 6 months, and he's had 6 jobs this year, which
Right,
is
exactly.
pretty wild.
He
I don't
might
know.
not
I
be
don't know.
responsible.
Were things were things just different then? I don't feel like I've ever even met anyone who has lost jobs at that rate. And I've known people who had some problems, man.
I don't know. Yeah. So he might not be that responsible. Okay, here's where I guess
Mm.
old Rod just ran out of steam because the last three are just dogs, children, and young ladies. I mean, there's not too many people that are just like there are, but there's not too many people that are just like I hate children or I hate dogs.
His
but a
boss
young
is like, stop hanging out with children and dogs and old ladies or young ladies. Only old ladies.
come on, be an incel. That's the only way to be.
Do you think okay, do you think that they just filmed him doing a bunch of stuff and retroactively just did the intro and then put everything that was that he interacted because he picks a dog up, he says hi to a lady, he says hi to some kids. Boss yells at him about zither music.
They don't say his age, right? I mean, how young the lady should he be around?
Mm, yeah,
What do you think?
that's what's a weird one.
I mean, it looks like a normal Twilight Zone 36 about, right? So,
Yeah, makes sense.
but then again, if he looks 36, that probably means he's supposed to be like 25.
I think I think 36 is probably the right age for someone to like get mad at you for having a personality.
Yeah, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I mean, what are our own little weirdnesses? I keep ukuleles with an S around the office.
I play a lot of video games and I'm not afraid to talk about them. And
Okay.
also I have a lot of synthesizers and I am afraid to talk about those.
Oh, yeah, I have too many guitars in this room. I have a bunch of weird little Star Wars things, which is weird because I'm much more of a Trekkie. But when they're selling, these die cast like Millennium Falcon for $10, it's hard to pass up.
Hmm.
It
I
looks like it just
definitely
has.
like dogs too much. I mean, I will
Hey, look, the
go and
engines is just normal ass tape.
whoa.
Anyway, the rest of it looks so
Did
classy.
you
I was so
build
hard to.
that?
No, I just bought it. It
Okay.
was in a book.
Mm.
Weirdly enough. so
Well, that's more hipstery than building it, I guess.
it was a pretty thick book. I have an Enterprise C model that I famously haven't built in my closet because it's an actual
Mm.
model where you have to like use the glue and have the knives. And I almost
You,
started doing it on my last vacation. I went to the model shop and I was like, I'll get glue. And then there's like 20
mhm.
varieties of glue. I'm like, what's happening? And then I gave up again.
I'll tell you this. I got one of those models that was just like a car and you have to like put it together and paint it yourself. And I was like 9 or 10 years old. And honestly, I did pretty well. The model came out pretty flawlessly. And I am not a meticulous and careful person with like physical items.
Okay.
Numbers, I can work with computer stuff, but like building things, not typically that good. So it's probably easier than you think it is. Is the point.
it might be. Yeah, I when I saw the 20 varieties of glue, I was like, but I don't know which one to get. And
Like
then
something in your brain is like really worried that you're gonna build it wrong and it's gonna look all messed up and you won't be able to throw it away.
and it was a vintage model, so I don't want to screw it up, right? So
Oh yeah.
there's a bit of stress. It's the Enterprise C. It's from the 90s, man.
Yeah, speaking of synthesizers, I mean I have a vintage thing that somebody made new panels for it and I bought the panels and I haven't put them on yet because I'm afraid I'm going to put them on wrong.
I thought you were
So
afraid to
there
talk about your
you
synthesizers.
go. Well, as this relates directly to what you're saying, so I'm going to break that. I'm going to break my rule and talk about it.
Right. But yeah, this didn't really kick in until I watched this like a couple times. But yeah, just thinking about like, is it possible to even have a Bevis now? Because like in the 80s, there was the tape on the glasses dork, the kind you'd see in Saved by the Bell, which I think that's more or less fallen by the wayside.
What do you think is more likely that would exist, a Bevis or a Bemis?
Now it's more like a Proud Boy.
I think a Bemis is less. I can't imagine somebody getting mad at somebody for reading too much,
Yeah,
or
of course.
just
I mean, I just like set that on fire, right? Because a
Mhm.
Proud Boy's out there doing like horrible stuff, where
Yeah.
Mr. Beavis is he's just weird, right? So that's definitely actually whoa, that's definitely not.
Sorry.
He farted. That's definitely not the right analogy. Yeah. Okay.
No, but I mean, the
That's
one
wrong.
thing leads. There is such a thing as one thing leads to another, and there definitely is. I mean, I have hung out in some internet circles with hilarious trolls, and I'm sure some of them eventually just sort of said, "Oh wait, actually, Nazis are cool, actually, because I've joked about them so long that they feel like they're my friends, and now I'm going to set fire to a building." So yeah, it's slippery, whatever you call it, slip. I don't think slippery slope is the right term, but I don't even know if I don't think that we have the language yet to describe what happens when someone is radicalized by the internet. Like I
Nope.
really don't. And that
Yeah.
includes like older people who look at next door every day and then start seeing intruders everywhere.
Of course, I guess Beavis is kind of the opposite. He's not going to be influenced by anything, including his guardian angel flipping reality on him.
Yeah, but to be fair, okay, Guardian Angel, let's talk about J. Harvey Hempstead. A little judgy, right? He kind of
Well,
he kind of just comes in real hot. It's like, I don't like your outfit. Actually, this man doesn't want to give you free bananas anymore. Children don't want to play with you because I don't like the cut of your jib. That's pretty much what he does.
well, this is what the 10th Beavis that he's been assigned to. He's probably getting bored of this. He's like, dude,
Yeah,
just
well,
just do what everyone else is doing. Leave my, don't bug me, and let's just, this is the end of the line. Mr. Beavis doesn't have any kids.
it seems like the person having the crisis in this episode is pretty much the guardian angel and nobody else. Mr. Beavis knows who he is. He sort of gets it. I put in my notes that sort of like reverse It's a Wonderful Life, where he just figures that he finds out what his life would be if he wasn't happy, and he's like,
I choose
actually,
happiness.
yeah, it's wild that like the only and maybe he teaches J. Harvey Hempstead how to accept Beavis's.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point then. Yeah, so I am thinking Hempstead is just like, man, I've been doing this for 200, 300 years. This is the end
Mhm.
of the line. Let's just get this over with minimum trouble is his vibe.
So I think there is I do like this episode. I'm not like crazy about it, but I think there's a better version of this where something happens to JRV Hempstead. Maybe he gets a guardian angel, or he gets like revoked, or he quits, or he just decides to be like Mr. Peckinpah's guardian angel instead because he likes him better, or something. There is some there is some kind of left turn that could sort of leave Mr. Beavis alone, but also give us a little bit more of a something Twilight Zone-y.
Yeah, that's a good
But
point. But it is a fun time one. Now, I definitely like
yeah,
Mr. Beavis better than Mr. Bemis. So, because
yeah, as a person, absolutely.
Bemis was like I kind of that's a weird one because he definitely didn't deserve anything horrible happening to him like that. But you kind of were at the same time. We're like, this guy's so annoying. I'm like not completely against it. But Mr.
He,
Beavis is like, oh yeah, dude needs to have his zither records and a bow tie for sure.
Mr. Bevis is free. Mr. Bemis was quite the opposite. I mean, Mr.
Okay.
Bemis was in like a nightmarish relationship.
Yeah, or yeah, Mr. Bemis is just kind of like, yeah, free and easy, right? Living the life.
Mr.
So
Bevis is free and easy. You said
that's
Bemis.
the names get confused. Even
Are
yesterday,
you trying to say that those are similar names because this is a similar character?
well, I was talking to Luke yesterday, and he was like, "Oh, Mr. Beavis, is that the sequel to Time Enough at Last?"
uh,
Like, what do you do? Just see, and the sequel to that though would just be watching Bemis like stumbling around blind and dying of radiation poisoning. So that wouldn't be a very good. That'd be a dark Twilight Zone episode.
It'd be cool if it was just an episode where he's trying to read in a dark room for 28 minutes and then zombies came and killed him.
Oh, I would no. I was thinking his flesh would be falling off because he was in obviously in a wasteland that had just been irradiated. But back to Beavis. We talked about Beavis a bit in the past. So
well, this is the Twilight Zone, so a zombie would come and bring him glasses and then kill him.
Yes.
Anyway, enough about Mr. Bemis. I think there is a thing to be said for, can a series be truly subversive if it doesn't occasionally have a happy episode?
Yeah, Twilight Zone. This is a good like funny one. They sometimes like kind of don't quite make it work. We did the Chaser. I guess I don't. No, it came out. Okay, Chaser was a few weeks ago, and people listening to this time. That episode, lots of cool things in that episode, but it doesn't quite work. Yeah, I think, and that's because here's the thing: Mr. Beavis doesn't come across as two-dimensional because the guy in the Chaser seemed a bit two-dimensional. Mr. Beavis actually is relatively well sketched out, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's Crispin Glover before Crispin Glover came out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I'd rather hang out with Mr. Beavis than Crispin Glover, but
yeah, did you ever watch that footage of Crispin Glover like trying to kick David Letterman in the face?
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's wild how David Letterman doesn't flinch even a little bit. Makes me kind of scared of David Letterman, really.
Well, you hadn't seen the outtakes of the show, right? So every guest tries to get him in the face, probably.
He's just once you have your own TV show, you just fear nothing, and then anyone can just attack you, and
Which, like, as a teacher, when kids throw balls at my head, I tend not to flinch. And usually they don't even hit me, which really impresses the kids. Or I just slightly move and it like misses me. So I've gotten this like weird cat reflex towards having balls thrown at me.
So like when George W. Bush dodged the shoes that time?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. That probably happened so much that Did he get hit? Did he get hit or dodge?
No, he dodged. He dodged.
Okay.
He dodged them expertly. He looked a little bit he looked surprised, but he still dodged them.
Okay, well, that's because people always threw their shoes at him, probably, and that was just the time it got on film.
When he was the governor of Texas, people would throw their shoes at him almost every day.
Yeah, that was how you would greet him.
Their boots. So it was scarier.
That's right.
Anyway, okay, along those lines, I feel like I learned a lot from Game of Thrones. Did you watch Game of Thrones? I can't remember.
Like the first 2 episodes, but feel free to say whatever you want to about Game of Thrones.
Okay, end of the first episode, it basically ends with incest, and then a dude throws a kid out of a building.
Yeah,
there's a kid off a tower. So it sort of does this thing where you get these shocker moments, and they continue with the shocker moments for a while, and eventually there's really nothing they can do to shock you. And then there's a character who dies and then comes back to life, and it's like everyone sort of knew it was going to happen because there was just nothing for them to do anymore. And then the end of the series kind of just tanked really hard because there was no way to surprise people. And those guys were obviously in a huge hurry to do their Star Wars trilogy, which is canceled now.
they weren't being creative enough. They should have had George R. Martin show up in the final episode with, "Hey guys, I finished this one. I finished
I
the book,
think
guys."
I think they should have just had him for the last 2 seasons, just put him in a dungeon and just had somebody just whip him and like try to get him to write things, and then he just like couldn't. And they should have just made that the whole thing, because I think he's done. He's probably done. But
Yeah.
this is the thing, is that I think that you can't just keep twisting. You can't just twist on people and be like dark twist, dark twist, dark twist. You have to sometimes just lighten up a little bit, or at least just you can't constantly surprise people with the worst version of what's going to happen.
Yeah. So your point is this is the Twilight
It's better
Zone
than Game
giving
of
you
Thrones.
Okay, Twilight Zone better than Game of Thrones.
Yes.
That would be a hot take for a few people, but it sounds about
Mhm.
yeah. I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. I'm doing a Twilight Zone podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm talking overall, not necessarily. You know, there are certainly moments in Game of Thrones that eclipse the sheer filmmaking of this extremely low budget, 70-year-old TV show. But that's only fair that that's going to happen. But just you can't just gotcha people forever. It's a Family Guy, really. I mean, that's probably also controversial, but that show sort of tried to be shocking over and over again, and then it just got kind of boring.
Well, you tried to turn me on to the Family Guy, what, 20 years ago, and I was just kind of like,
Yeah, the first 4 seasons were good, and then those writers left and were American Dad, which is good.
Okay. I guess we'll start doing questions for Bevis, unless you had something else, unless you want to talk more about Crispin Glover. I don't know.
I mean, he's pretty much Crispin Glover. I didn't look up if this guy was Crispin Glover's dad. I'm just gonna assume he isn't. I did think that possibly J. Harvey Hempstead was the guy who ran the TV station in UHF, but he isn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, some
too
people look
old.
like other people, right?
True. It's crazy.
So, who went into the Twilight Zone in this episode? I feel like you want to say Hempstead.
I do want to say Hempstead, but it was pretty obviously Mr. Bevis. I mean, Hempstead was just at work. He was just doing his job. He was bored of it.
Right, but he
mean-
tries to make things better for him. But everything just flows off of Mr. Bevis. He's just kind of annoyed that, the nice things in his life are suddenly gone, right?
Maybe they both went into the Twilight Zone together.
Well, the prologue does say Mr. James B.W. Bevis just 1 block away from the Twilight Zone. That's the other little bit where I'm like, maybe we should say Hempstead.
Yeah, I think they went there together and then it didn't work out. So they left together.
That could be it. I'm just like, if you're so disattached or disassociated, does that mean the Twilight Zone just skittered off of you? That's why it's a block away.
We don't have a whole lot of experience with people just outright rejecting the Twilight Zone. In most cases, you can't. A lot of people would like to, but in this case, you can just sort of go like, nah, no Twilight Zone for me.
I guess I'm still going to go with Walking Distance as the gold standard of some dude just flipping out when he encounters the Twilight Zone. I'm like, when we did that, Andrew that wasn't his favorite episode. I like it okay, but the more I'm like, that's the guy who flipped out the hardest. It's like, now I kind of like that episode more, because I'm like, it's just like, like Homer Simpson going on a rampage,
I mean, that's the most rational. You would probably get like, damn it, what's the one with the lady in the bus station?
Mirror Image. She legitimately had reason to flip out.
Yeah, it's like, that's how you would expect most people to react. Like, right. Absolutely. Because that's like sort of a problem with me with Marvel stuff, is that there's a lot of stuff where it's like aliens ripping buildings in half and people are just sort of like running as if like the rain was really heavy. Like, people would be absolutely freaking out. I don't care if you saw it on the news or what. You would just be like, just like,
It gets back to the Transformers thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Dark of the Moon, where the building's falling and they have a whole segment where they're in the falling building, and then they go to a different level and they go through an office, and it's like everyone looks like they've just been at their desk working. And then they start running when the main actors show up. It's like, no, they've been flipping out. They're in the same falling building.
This is why certain things like David Lynch movies are better, even though David Lynch would generally never make movies like that. I don't think he could, but you see people sort of you'll see a scene with 2 or 3 people that are absolutely like melting on an existential level. And
well,
that's
as someone who likes the Transformers movie, I will admit calling them stupid is a low-hanging fruit.
I mean, same. I think Sam Raimi does a good job with that stuff. Like, there's some genuine like freakouts in Spider-Man movies or whatever, but I'm sure there's plenty. I'm sure you can pick out plenty of people who are just bored while Spider-Man is pulling the subway car together, or whatever.
Hey, you might be used to it, you know? Like, I'm like, hey, I'm reading a book on the subway. It's the last chapter, and I'm not going to let some kind of spider action, disrupt me.
I mean, that's pretty much how people are dealing with COVID.
Yeah. Where were we? That was the first one. Deserving.
Who went to the? Yeah, I think so. I don't think anybody got anything egregious. I think, if anything, Mr. Bevis is a cool enough guy that he deserves to get to see how crappy his life would be if it was good.
So he doesn't deserve this. He should have just, because he didn't. He wasn't even that phase that he lost his job, and
like maybe he doesn't deserve it. It's like it was more than he deserved. Like he didn't deserve that shot at being normal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess the thing that flipped him out the most was that his car got flipped or something, which is kind of like that. That should phase everybody a little bit, but that's just, that happens, right?
I think it's like if you were dealing with modern insurance, whereas like, oh, your insurance will now be for $400 a month because of this. Then maybe you'd feel differently about it. Maybe it's definitely like, oh, sorry. What? Yeah, there's stuff where it's like suddenly he has a nice sports car. Like there's definitely a lot of money things happening that Mr. Bevis didn't seem to care about.
Yeah, he don't care about money, right? I mean, it's like your favorite restaurant's the crappy pizza joint, right?
I think some of us would definitely be like, I'm going to sell the sports car and buy another crappy 1920s Rickenbacker.
Yeah, I mean, he could change his life. It would just be like annoying, right? I mean, he could make friends with the banana guy again, and
no bananas,
no bananas ever for him again. Yeah. I'm like, it would take a few months, but in a few months he would be right back where he started, probably, because he would have sold that sports car for another Rickenbacker.
This is one of those. I think this is one of those episodes where you start pulling the thread on like how all this stuff works, and it would completely unravel, because how do you like become not friends with the banana guy, and then you like can't mend that? It's like I don't know what. He would at least be like, why are you being nice? You're a jerk.
The next time he goes to a clothing store, he's going to buy a zoot suit and a bow tie. He's not going to buy like another sensible suit, or unless Hempstead just keeps showing up as his guardian angel and turning a zoot suit into a tailored like business suit.
Yeah, it's like, does Mr. Bevis have free will or not? It's almost like this quantum reality where it's like he can be himself, but he isn't.
Right. So Hempstead deserves it. He needs a lesson, and Bevis doesn't deserve this. This is all like an annoyance for him.
I think they both learned something. Hempstead learned that he's not going to get the Bevis he wants, and Bevis has learned that he's going to be homeless.
Yeah, he didn't need the Twilight Zone for that, though.
No, but he's learned that he doesn't want to do what it takes to not be homeless.
Yeah, so he can have like a hipster. Well, I don't know if you've seen the little enclaves in Japan of these little tent cities where some of the people actually kind of want to be there. So
yes, they seem pretty happy. Yeah, but it's like, I think it's like, wasn't there something
to take away from people who become homeless and in a horrible bad news way, but I'm just saying that there are some people that kind of want to live a nomadic life.
Yeah, I mean, people who are dealing with that kind of thing are not any less complicated than you or I, and and there are people who go to Home Depot and cut their arms off.
Really?
Yes.
How do they get both of them off?
Very carefully.
Okay.
No, they with the table saw.
Oh, okay. On purpose?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Sorry, I
They
haven't been.
contain multitudes, except they don't contain multitudes of arms anymore.
No, they don't. Yeah, they're missing those.
But it's like it's one of this. What was I actually talking about? I'm completely lost. It's like
you
it's great when I make the conversation into chaos and I end up losing something that I was going to say that made sense.
I was saying Mr. Beavis didn't. Oh, homeless. Mr.
Oh,
Beavis is now homeless.
okay, he's homeless. Yeah, I think they both. I think Mr. Beavis and Hempstead both got something, both learned something about themselves and about each other, and they're still stuck with each other and in magic fire hydrants.
Yeah, so
No.
maybe, yeah. They just have to learn how to metaphysically work together because they're metaphysically linked.
Yeah, hopefully he gave him a house so he's
That's
not homeless.
yeah. Anyway, it seems like a good prelude to the tripometer question. If you have a spot you want to place this on that sort of meter.
I'm gonna say, by the way, I haven't thought about this at all in advance because I forgot to think about it. Um, I'm gonna say this one is a 2.3.
Okay. I'm just not as focused as you because I was thinking, oh, it's a 2.0 to 2.5. So 2.3 makes
Well,
sense.
there you go. 2.3 because, it's a weird guy, he lives a weird life and then weird things happen to him and
I guess the trippy
disappearing fire hydrant's pretty trippy, right?
honestly for me the trippiest thing was his Beavis suit.
Oh
But
no, the
it's
trippiest thing, that special effect where Mr. Beavis couldn't walk through the glass after Hempstead walked through the glass. That was super trippy. I'm
oh
gonna I'm
yeah,
gonna
that's good.
bump it up to 2.4 because of that.
Okay, sure, why not? You're still in my range at least. You could bump it up to 2.6 just to be contrary if you want. Is it worth doing that?
Now, a question: am I the type of podcast guest that I want to agree with the host, or that I want to be contrarian and bump it up to 2.6? Okay, yeah, 2.6.
Bastard. Okay.
Hey, you don't have me on here just to argue with another version of yourself,
Right.
or
Uh
maybe you do.
yeah. I like echo chambers, but yeah, it's
Echo chambers,
echo chamber.
echo chambers.
That's right. Okay, I've got tired of doing that now. So, yeah, I'm gonna. My score is based on his suit.
That suit's
So,
good.
but yes, the effect
Zither
was
music
awesome.
is pretty trippy.
There,
The cognitive dissonance of all the different things that he likes that are all weird together.
yeah, yeah, that's trippy. Yes. So Mr. Beavis himself is trippy. Does that make
Hmm.
Mr. Beavis the actual Twilight Zone again? To reiterate my like original who was in. No, he's a
Is it
block away
something
from it.
like
He's
if
up. He's
you're
one block away.
if you're a guardian angel, are you gonna guard enough people that eventually you will meet the human embodiment of the Twilight Zone and have to try and keep them from being homeless? Is that what this is about?
Yes.
2.6. But you thought I was
um.
gonna bump it up even further, but I didn't.
Oh, okay. You do what you want.
Yeah.
No, well, you don't want to because
I
it's
don't I
not
don't
that
need to
trippy.
anymore.
It's not that trippy an episode.
That bit got old faster than the echo chamber bit.
um. Well, it's July 18th. Hey, it's almost your birthday, right?
It's almost my birthday. Don't give me a present.
Just sing the very merry and birthday song to him the day before and after for hours
Yeah.
on end.
Hey,
Yeah. But
if you're in Atlanta, go to the Southern Fried Gaming Expo. There'll be a bunch of people who don't wear masks, but I'll be wearing a mask because I don't want COVID. A lot of my friends have COVID right now.
hey,
I don't know. If you want to see me or stalk me or whatever, take our parasocial relationship to the next level. If you're one of the listeners who lives in Atlanta but doesn't know me for some reason, don't talk to me. But you should go anyway and play video games because it's fun.
yeah, can't people cosplay, right?
Not really. That's not really a cosplay thing. It's more just a here I'm 55 years old. Here are my arcade cabinets. Play them.
Oh,
I have a couple. I'm bringing a trivia. Wait, no, phrase craze. It's a Wheel of Fortune knockoff, but it came out in '83.
Wheel of Fortune's been around a long time. Pat Sajak wasn't the original host.
True, but
Who
he's
is it
done it
now?
a
Who
long
is
time. I think it's
is he?
still Pat Sajak.
Okay, good for him, man. He must be like 2003 by now.
I'm gonna say, look up a picture of Pat Sajak and Vanna White. Kind of weird, man. Like,
Yeah,
if they really want to do that job for that long, then who
she's
am
still
I to
doing it
argue?
too. She's doing it
Yeah,
too. Oh, that's actually quite impressive.
you'd think
Uh,
that they'd want something different, but again, who am I to judge?
okay,
We're
sorry.
not going to do this podcast for another 50 years. I'll tell you that.
No, I don't know. There's love anthology shows.
Mm,
Sorry, I'm
we'll
looking.
see.
I'm have to look up the photo. Oh yeah, they're actually both aging reasonably well. Good for them. Although
Yeah.
he looks more unholy than he used to.
I mean, it's probably all the baby stem cells he took, so he looks younger.
his face looks like it's like permanently plastered into a smile. Like he literally cannot take it off his face anymore, and his eyes are in like distress because of it. That's what he looks like a little. But anyway, good for him. He's still doing it.
Yeah.
Oh wait. September 24th, 2021. Pat Sajak and Vanna White talk about Wheel of Fortune exit. They might not be on it anymore.
I thought for a second you were saying that they had a new series called Wheel of Fortune Exit.
Sajak 74, White is 64.
Mm.
We're certainly closer to the end than the beginning. Okay, that
that's
they're not quitting.
fair.
Yeah, when you're 74. Okay. So I guess they're not actually planning to exit. Sorry, I don't know why I'm doing like live Wheel of Fortune research on this podcast.
What they're doing. Stay tuned for a Wheel of Fortune podcast.
That would be
could you imagine?
We break down Wheel of Fortune episode by episode, all 10,000 episodes.
That's so upsetting to even ponder that.
No,
That's like that's the Twilight Zone. If there's a Twilight Zone where you end up in it, you're gonna be like, you have to do every episode of Jeopardy in a podcast or something like that.
No, it's got to be Wheel of Fortune because Jeopardy will at least give you trivia to talk about, right? Wheel of Fortune, like, why didn't they choose E? Come on, it should be obvious by now. You start with E. What are you doing? You started with a Z. Are you some kind of a maniac?
Well, it's called Burning Down the House. Why didn't you get that right? It's obvious. It's burning down the house. That's what it is. You thought it was burning down the house? What? What's wrong with you?
Count Rushmore? Are you I saw that on TV, by the way. Where
really?
Yeah, I did see that on Wheel of Fortune, like when I was like 12 or 13 or something, where the only letter missing was the M on Mount, and the lady chose a C. I think she lost after that. I think that was like her last choice. I don't remember how Wheel of Fortune works, but yeah, it cost her the game.
Like that would just be like looking into the abyss. Like you can never like even attempt to do another puzzle again.
That's who goes to the Home Depot next, I guess. So anyway, this is Time Enough Podcast, where we are apparently talking about Wheel of Fortune. We are under the podcasting umbrella of Podcastius, where you can hear us talk about sci-fi movies at Matt and Luke Sci-Fi Sanctuary. Games with a game show. Luke loves
it's
Pokemon,
a game show about
like
games. Luke loves Pokemon. Is that all?
Else.
Something else coming soon, maybe?
Some other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Something like that. Anyway, you go to the site. You go to that
Fortune podcast.
You go to that site and then they're there. So you have that going for you. Okay. I'm not gonna wear a bow tie to work though. I'm not living the dream. I'm not living the Bevis dream. I'm taking off the bow tie.
You just need to be more discombobulated, man.
Yeah. Nork. Okay. I
said discombobulated. It's discombobulated.
Yeah, I knew. I knew it was wrong, but I didn't feel like correcting it because I would have had to click back to my notes to find it. So
who cares?
The Count Rushmore, man, it's a thing.
Count Rushmore. I know I saw something. Wasn't there something that was like racist? Like a guy said, like it was like the
they made fun of it on South Park. I know.
I think that was a different, but there was a different one besides that.
It might have been citing that. Yeah. Rushmore. I want to see if anyone decided to make any chart of this. And
10 biggest Wheel of Fortune fails. I mean, I bet most of them are from like before.
Wheel of Fortune live. Yeah. This was just, like this is like even
Or
in the
after
90s, it's
internet.
probably even in the 90s, it's probably not recorded. Although I did read about a lady who just recorded whatever was on from 1979 to 2012.
Oh, here's one that's like the blank UCK stops here.
Oh,
So I guess that's one.
actually, it seems like it's from a Friends episode.
Oh, damn.
Maybe I was watching Friends.
Wow. Somebody's gonna send you an email about that.
Well, I was watching it when I was about 13, so.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my God, that's amazing. That's gonna be so great. You're gonna get tweeted at by somebody who's like, "Oh, Zips of Friends."
Well, they should have joined the Patreon where they hear me figure it out. Maybe I'll just leave this in as an outtake.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you tweeted Matt already about it, then shut up.
I'm leaving this as an outtake. I hope I didn't drop an F-bomb.
Fout take.
Well, I'm glad I looked it up though, so. Joey, this guy is so stupid. It's Count Rushmore. You should really go on the show. Oh, by the way, there's no Count Rushmore. Then who's the guy who painted the faces on the mountain? Okay. That's the joke. That's Friend style humor there.
Now I feel dirty.
Come on, the Count Rushmore joke was good.
The Count Rushmore joke Count Rushmore on, if it was real, is much better than that joke. Well, whatever. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, yes, I'm off to work, so I will catch you in the hisns.
Cool, and have fun at work. We'll get some shit done. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah,
you're saying shit because it's now out of the main episode. So
yeah, enjoy your shit, Patreons. All right, later.
Oh, weird! It recorded the cloud.